So in previous videos, I said the iPhone 17 Pro is the best iPhone camera we have ever seen. But after 3 months of using this camera, do I feel the same way? Let's talk about it. And big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. We'll talk about them a little bit later on. Now, the first thing we have to talk about is the telephoto lens on the 17 Pro because that is the big upgrade to the cameras. We have a new sensor, we have 48 megapixels, and we also have a lot of polarization and mixed feelings about this camera. Now, initially, when I tested the 17 Pro, I said this is finally a telephoto lens that we can actually use. In the past, I'm a well-documented iPhone telephoto lens hater because personally, I just hated all the telephoto images I made on previous iPhones. I thought they were too grainy, I thought they were too noisy, I hated the over digital sharpened look from these photos. They were just not something that I felt was even close to the quality I could produce with a regular camera, and they were never images I was proud of. Now with the 17 Pro, that has been fixed. The changes to the sensor and the changes to the resolution have made telephoto images from the 17 Pro something that I'm personally happy with. I mean, look at this photo in San Francisco. Unreal. Like, this is hands down the best telephoto image I have ever made with an iPhone, and I'm very proud of it. But there's a big caveat to these improvements. These improvements are only seen in my testing and in my research when you use the 17 Pro in well-lit situations. When you bring the 17 Pro telephoto lens into low-light situations, I found images that were very muddy, smudgy, and just off-putting. Now, I did some research on this, which turned out to be way more complicated than I expected, so I'm going to do my best to summarize it in this video so you understand. The iPhone 17 Pro has something called a quad Bayer sensor, which is essentially a sensor broken up into 4 quadrants that uses all this information to put your picture together in the best way possible. Now, this quad Bayer sensor is optimized for 12 megapixel images, so essentially what's happening is a trade-off with this sensor. What's giving you this high-quality result in well-lit situations is actually negatively impacting your photo in low light situations. So the best thing you can do is set your camera to 48 megapixels raw when you're making photos in well lit situations and drop it down to 12 megapixels when you're in low light situations, so you can take advantage of all of these things that this sensor is optimized for and get an image in low light that has a little bit more detail but will have some issues with noise and artifacting. Now, when it comes to the other 2 camera lenses, the native focal length of 24 millimeters as well as the ultra-wide lens, both of these lenses after 3 months is pretty much in line with my thoughts in my initial testing. Using both of these lenses produce images that I think are slightly better than previous iPhones, but they're not improvements that I necessarily would say you need to go out and get. There's just a slight uptick in the color processing in my opinion. There's a slight uptick in the sharpness, and I think these images look very natural, and this set of photos that I've shown throughout the video are definitely my favorite iPhone images to date. Now, one thing that is subjective, but I personally noticed, was how easy to edit these images were from the 17 Pro. Now, with each new iPhone, photos have become more and more malleable, meaning you can do so much with a dynamic range, but there's something about the dynamic range on the 17 Pro that I haven't seen with previous iPhones. I can manipulate these images quite a bit, maintain quality, and do so much with the highlights and shadows, resulting in images that, for me, are the first images where I think, hey, maybe I don't need my camera to get high quality photos when I'm out traveling or when I'm in a new place. Now, there's a few things outside of the camera that I like about the 17 Pro, and there's one big thing that I dislike, which I'll talk about in a second after I thank today's sponsor, Squarespace. So I just got done saying how the iPhone 17 Pro is the closest iPhone I have to a professional camera, and what that means for you is the barrier to entry to begin making money with your creativity has never been lower. All you need is a phone in your pocket and a professional website from Squarespace. Squarespace is basically an all-in-one business tool for creators because Squarespace gives you the ability to do so many different things. First of all, Squarespace has drag and drop templates that everyone knows about that are so easy to use even if you have no web design experience. On top of that, Squarespace has AI tools that allow you to customize your website using prompts to build your website even faster. And Squarespace allows you to do a number of different things that are beneficial to you as a creator. One, you can build a mailing list using their marketing tools, so you can move your audience from social media to somewhere where you can contact them directly, removing algorithms from your your audience. You can also sell products like digital products like my presets or photo books or photo prints. Even things you're creating with your iPhone can be sold on a Squarespace site. And you don't need a payment processor anymore because Squarespace Payments allows you to accept payments straight through your site. And on top of that, you can sell courses with Squarespace, you can have a blog on Squarespace, you can host your portfolio on Squarespace, and you can create communities on Squarespace that are paid or free. So Squarespace is a no-brainer for any creative person looking to grow in 2026. So what you can do is head to the link in the description down below or go to squarespace.com/EvanRant to start a free trial, test it out, build a trial site, and when you're ready to sign up, you can use code EvanRant to save 10% at checkout. At squarespace.com/EvanRant to start a free trial and use code EvanRant to save 10% at checkout. Big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. So I'm going to re-record this ending because I just got back from San Francisco for the second time in a month, and I was able to use the 17 Pro a little bit more and also think more about that telephoto issue that I brought up. That issue, if you even want to call it that, is more something that you need to be aware of if you happen to make a photo that you think has a problem. It's not something that personally I really care about that much. I think the telephoto at 48 megapixels looks fantastic, and it is the main reason why I still believe this is the best iPhone we've ever had. But if you happen to make a photo where you're like, hey, something looks kind of funny on this telephoto shot, it could have something to do with that whole sensor pixel binding or pixel binning thing that you can read up on your own online. It's just like way too complicated, and in my opinion, it's like splitting hairs. But I prefer, for the most part, the 48 megapixel images with the telephoto lens. I just wanted to clarify that. Now, I did get to test some night photography when I was in San Francisco, which was something I didn't plan on including in this video because night photography is one of those things where I have low expectations for the iPhone, and when I made basic night photos, the results were pretty much in line with what I would expect from any iPhone. If you have a 16 or a 15, the quality is pretty similar. The photos look good, but they're nothing that I'm necessarily gonna say is the greatest thing ever. But what did surprise me was night mode on the 17 Pro. It appears that whatever processing they're doing with night mode has slightly improved with the 17 Pro, especially at ultra wide. This ultra wide photo in particular, shot with night mode on, really impressed me. Like, it's one of the better night photos I've made with an iPhone. Now, stepping outside the camera for 1 second, the battery life is great on the 17 Pro. Now, obviously, the phone's only been out for 3 months, so that could change as the battery begins to age. But as I've been flying back and forth between Atlanta and San Francisco multiple times, I never had to charge the phone mid-flight. I never had to charge it right when I got to the hotel. It was able to last the entire day. And obviously, on travel days, you're using your phone quite a bit for Uber, for flight tracking. You're using it on the flight itself. So that was something that I was pretty happy with. Now, the vapor chamber is what's given this phone a redesign. It's intended for the phone to stay a little bit cooler, which honestly I thought was a little bit of marketing gimmick, but I'm going to be honest, I did 20-minute screen recordings with this for the tutorials on moderncreativemoney.com, and the phone handled it just fine. On previous iPhones, I know the battery would have gotten hot doing something like that, but with this, it handled it with ease. Obviously, as the phone ages, it could run down the RAM and the processing a little bit more, and that could become an issue, but for now, the phone has handled any and all situations with absolutely no heating issues, and that might be because of the A19 chip, which is processing everything. It's a little bit more powerful. So all in all, this phone's doing its job. You're getting pro performance for the pro price. Now, the only real drawback to the 17 Pro that I found is the aluminum on the phone. It is very scratch prone. I dropped my phone on a hardwood floor and got a huge blemish on the phone, which was something that surprised me. Previous iPhones, you could just drop them pretty much anywhere outside of concrete and the phone would look fine. So I got a case after that. And if you're someone who puts the phone in your pocket with keys or with camera accessories, which I'm kind of rough with my phones, I'm always like throwing them in my camera bag and stuff, it's going to scratch up the phone quite a bit, especially compared to previous phones. So that's why I picked up this case from Spigen. I actually picked up a second one as well. So when this begins to yellow, I have this one at the ready. But that's the real only negative thing about the phone that I found. It's definitely the best iPhone when you factor in everything that I've talked about. Now, I do agree with my final sentiment at the end of my initial iPhone 17 video. It's the best iPhone, but it's really only noticeably best if you're someone who's into the more technical side of photography. If you have a 16 Pro, you'll probably be able to see the things that I'm talking about. If you're someone who's more of a casual user, you're probably not going to be able to notice huge difference between something like a 16 Pro and a 17 Pro. You will see a big difference if you're someone who uses the selfie camera. That is a huge upgrade for a quote-unquote casual or normal user of the 17 Pro. So it's the best phone, but you really only need to upgrade if you're into one of those two things. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up button. Let me know maybe your favorite photo from the video in the comments. I have a lot of good ones in here. Let me know your favorite down below. I'll drop mine in the pinned comment, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.